The murderer was leisurely strolling through the market, but unexpectedly, in the next second, he suddenly slowed his pace. He had noticed a strange girl who kept glancing at him, sometimes intentionally, sometimes not, and she would occasionally touch her ear. Decades of experience on the run made him instantly alert, wanting to avoid any complications. He quickly hurried back to his place, but to his surprise, just as he reached the building and was waiting for the elevator, the girl had followed him there. This made the murderer tense up immediately. In his mind, this was no longer a coincidence, but surveillance and confirmation. So he quietly slipped his hand into his pocket and gripped the folding knife he always carried. He deliberately stood behind the girl when entering the elevator, ready to strike first in the surveillance-free space. However, at this critical moment, the girl's father, Uncle Long, happened to arrive and took the opportunity to remove the earpiece from the girl's ear.
What are you doing? I was worried you wouldn't listen. What, secretly dating someone and got caught? Do you even realize?
He saw that the girl's ear was now empty. In addition, the quarrel between them as father and daughter felt natural and real. The murderer dismissed his suspicions, thinking he was overthinking it, and quietly put away his folding knife. At that moment, Uncle Long took a rotten apple out of his pocket and casually handed it to the murderer. This gesture seemed like a polite exchange between neighbors, but little did he know, at that very moment, the murderer's face appeared clearly on the Hong Kong police's display screen. It turned out the murderer's suspicions were not unfounded. Uncle Long and the girl were not actually father and daughter. Undercover police had been tracking him for weeks. The murderer, Fu Longsheng, was a former Special Forces soldier skilled in combat with a history of robbery and murder. He went into hiding 20 years ago to build a criminal empire. Using stolen funds, he adopted and trained children as successors using military methods. Now grown, these children have mastered unique skills, becoming experts in combat and assassination. With skills in hacking and disguise, and some even switching genders, Fu Longsheng led them to outsmart police everywhere. Then, he targeted 500 million in digital currency. He sent his children, disguised as office workers, straight into the financial firm holding the keys. They carried out the robbery.
They found everything and copied it all.
According to Fu Longsheng's plan, they could have easily gotten away before the police arrived. But unexpectedly, because there were so many documents, Xiaoxin, who was in charge of copying them, got bored and started browsing through other files. What he didn't expect was to discover that this financial company had many major clients, including someone named Duan Jihong.
Who is Duan Jihan?
The Kuala Lumpur crypto exchange CEO stole $1.5 billion, then died mysteriously in Macau, linked to 10 billion Hong Kong dollars.
The group speculated that the key Duan Jihong kept at the financial company was probably used to safeguard the 1.5 billion. So Simon, who was in charge of hacking, decisively told Xiaoxin to copy the relevant files while he was at it. Fu Longsheng felt that dragging things out was risky and wanted them to stop immediately. But unexpectedly, greed led the group to disobey Fu Longsheng's orders.
Xiaoxin, hurry up. Every minute counts. We don't have time.
But just as they succeeded, the police also arrived at that very moment and locked down the entire building. Although Xiaoxin and the others came face to face with the police, their skills were far beyond what anyone expected. With Simon manipulating and altering the surveillance footage from behind the scenes, they quickly threw the police off their trail and ultimately managed to escape from the 100-meter tall building, successfully evading capture. Simon was thrilled. In his eyes, not only was this risky move not a mistake, it actually proved his own judgment. He couldn't wait to brag to his brother, but to his surprise, Fu Longsheng was absolutely furious at that moment. He raised his hand and slapped him. What about our plan?
But the outcome was good. And we even got some unexpected gains. How is that not a bonus?
Fu Longsheng was never exposed until their solo actions forced him to face the police. Furious, he beat Xiaoxin. The older brother watched, conflicted, but just as he was about to intervene, Simon grabbed Fu Long first.
Just let go. Let us handle it. Let go.
Fu Longsheng's double entendre instantly shattered the confidence Simon had just built up. He could tell that Fu Longsheng was truly angry, so he quickly apologized. But to his surprise, the next second, Fu Longsheng completely lost control of his emotions, pulled out a folding knife, and was about to teach him a lesson. Fortunately, Xiaoxin stepped in just in time to hold him back, allowing Simon to escape unscathed. Seeing the situation take a turn for the worse, Shi Wang hurried forward to restrain Fu Longsheng, but was forced into a corner by him with a single move. "You're always so annoying." Shi Wang didn't respond, just clung to the corner of the wall, struggling to hold back her emotions. Fortunately, at this critical moment, the others arrived in time to break up the fight and pulled Fu Longsheng away from the scene. However, although the conflict had come to an end, from this moment on, an irreparable rift had formed between Fu Longsheng and the children he had raised with his own hands. Meanwhile, on the other side, the police had set up a citywide dragnet to capture Fu Longsheng and the others, even bringing in retired veteran Uncle Jinglong. This was because current tracking methods rely too much on the Skynet surveillance system, which isn't effective against seasoned criminals like Fu Longsheng. Uncle Long decided to form a tracking team to tail Ding Yuan using basic, old-fashioned methods. Since many officers were already known to Fu Rongsheng, he picked several ordinary-looking, inconspicuous police interns for a temporary surveillance unit. However, their actual field abilities were quite disappointing.
This is the third time you've worn the same clothes in the same spot, doing the same drinking motion with the same hand, and your water level is always at exactly the same place. I just don't want to drink too much and have to go to the bathroom. Aren't you worried about dying of dehydration?
Watching the rookie officer's flawed tailing methods, Uncle Long was so angry his blood pressure shot up on the spot. But fortunately, the rookie caught on quickly and adjusted right away. Under Uncle Long's guidance, the surveillance team gradually got on the right track. After nearly half a month of investigation, they finally spotted someone suspected to be Fu Rongsheng at a vegetable market. To confirm the person's identity, team member Xiao Feng volunteered. Pretending to look for something, he took the opportunity to get close to the target. But unexpectedly, just after he confirmed the identity, a subconscious gesture of touching his earpiece aroused Fu Rongsheng's suspicion. "Put the ball down," he said. "Normally, after a surveillance team member is suspected of being exposed, they should avoid encountering the target again. But Xiao Feng wanted to seize this opportunity to confirm Fu Rongsheng's address, so she resolutely followed him downstairs. Seeing Xiao Feng again, Fu Rongsheng immediately concluded that she was not an ordinary person. Fortunately, at the critical moment, Uncle Long appeared in time, pretending to be Xiao Feng's father, and took the opportunity to remove her earpiece.
Hey, which floor are you on? Did you forget about that? Tansheng Wei?
Taking advantage of the darkness, Fu Rongsheng glanced at Xiao Feng's ears to confirm that the other party wasn't carrying any communication devices, and only then did he relax his vigilance slightly. Little did he know that at the same time, Uncle Long handed Xiao Feng a pair of earrings that he had just found at the market.
Listening to such big headphones while wearing earrings? That's rubbish. You're just throwing away your life. Look at kids these days. Nothing you say works. They just go against their parents in every way.
Lord Zhang, China has positive ideas.
Seeing that Fu Rongsheng had let his guard down, Uncle Long pulled out a rotten apple and handed it over, making it look like casual small talk. In reality, Uncle Long had already placed a camera inside the apple, knowing that Fu Rongsheng wouldn't just peel it open. So taking advantage of the moment, he took a bite and kicked the camera into a corner. Soon, the elevator reached the top floor. Uncle Long led Xiao Feng out of the elevator, sensing that Fu Rongsheng was still watching him from behind. To avoid exposing his identity, Uncle Long had no choice but to keep up the act. He had Xiao Feng pick up a package as a cover, while he himself used a special lock-picking tool to easily open a random apartment door, pretending it was his own home. Unexpectedly, he ran right into the landlady, the actual resident.
Hey, close the door. Why are you letting the sunlight in?
Fortunately, Fu Rongsheng outside had no idea what was happening. Seeing the father and daughter enter the apartment, he finally turned around, went back to the elevator, and pressed the button for the 8th floor. After the command center confirmed the floor through surveillance, they immediately ordered the undercover tracking team members on the 8th floor to install cameras. Thanks to everyone's seamless cooperation, the police finally confirmed that Fu Rongsheng lived in room 802. However, even though Uncle Long and Xiao Feng's improvisation was nearly flawless, but Fu Rongsheng's inherent suspicion hadn't completely disappeared. Just to be safe, he still had Simon immediately investigate the backgrounds of the two. Relying on his top-notch hacking skills, Simon quickly discovered that Uncle Long and Xiao Feng were actually police officers. However, unexpectedly, he did not report this information truthfully to Fu Rongsheng.
Did you check? I checked. There's nothing to worry about. Maybe I'm just being overly cautious. Did you notice something? I did notice. You've grown up. It's time to let go now.
Through just a few simple lines of conversation, Fu Rongsheng guessed that Simon was hiding something from him. He knew that ever since the last conflict, Simon had been unwilling to accept things as they were. What he hadn't expected was that Simon would choose to betray him at this moment. At that instant, Fu Rongsheng felt a deep chill in his heart. But he didn't expose Simon directly. After all these years together, he had already come to regard these children as his own family. Moreover, he knew very well that Simon was the technical core of the entire team, and his hacking skills were crucial to the success or failure of all their operations. If Simon were killed or caught by the police, not only would the team lose a key asset, but even his own interests would suffer. Therefore, he chose to endure and stay, continuing to deal with Uncle Long, helping the kids divert the police's attention, and giving them a chance to get that $1.5 billion. Soon after, Simon discovered that the long-missing $1.5 billion key had actually been transferred and was now securely stored in the police station's vault. In order to get this money, Simon decided to risk everything on one last gamble. He took out $50 million to hire international mercenaries to raid the police station's vault. At the same time, in order to further weaken the police force remaining at the station, Simon set up another scheme. He deliberately lured Fu Rongsheng to the orphanage where they grew up, then arranged for a group of thugs to attack, creating chaos to draw police attention and buy time. Fu Rongsheng immediately saw through Simon's plan, so he decided to help him one last time. In just a few seconds, Fu Longsheng swiftly took down 4 of the thugs. Seeing this, the gang leader was furious and immediately ordered everyone to rush him at once. But even so, Fu Longsheng remained completely unafraid, fighting his way out with a single knife, carving a bloody path. In the midst of the struggle, Fu Longsheng vaguely recalled scenes of teaching the children before. He had once told them that the biggest taboo in this line of work was exposure. Anyone who got exposed was a... He never expected that one day he himself would become that in the eyes of the children.
But you have to really want to take me down for it to work. Who is Steve Jobs?
After saying this, Fu Longsheng unleashed his fury once more, venting all the anger from Bessie Meng's betrayal onto these thugs. In no time, dozens of them lay sprawled on the ground, cut down by his blade. Then, the wounded Fu Longsheng slowly walked out of the crowd. He thought everything was over, but to his surprise, when he turned around, he saw his eldest son Hope again. In that instant, he realized that the purpose of those thugs just now was to buy time. But Hope was coming for his life.
It was his idea. My brother, why did you go first? You don't understand how terrifying this person is.
It turns out that Hope had always wanted his younger brothers to get along peacefully with her godfather. But now, since his brother Simon chose the path of betrayal, there was no turning back. Moreover, he knew all too well how ruthless Fu Longsheng could be. If Fu Longsheng didn't die today, he would never let Simon go afterward. As the eldest brother, Hope didn't want to see his brother get hurt, nor did he want to betray the kindness Fu Longsheng had shown in raising them, so he could only choose to sacrifice himself. He chose to perish together with his godfather in exchange for his brother's safety.
I'm helping you at any cost. Shumeng is my brother. I'll take the fall for his mistakes. I have no choice.
As Hope charged forward, a fierce battle between father and son was about to erupt. Although Fu Longsheng was old, his skills were still formidable. After several exchanges, it was clear that Hope was at a disadvantage. In desperation, Hope suddenly went all out, grabbed Fu Longsheng and leapt off the second floor. After hitting the ground hard, Hope intended to get up and strike again, but Fu Longsheng was quicker and locked his arm around Hope's neck. Hope hurriedly drew his knife to counterattack and grabbed Fu Longsheng's neck in return. Unexpectedly, at that moment, Fu Longsheng reached out and squeezed Hope's wound, taking advantage of his pain. He immediately twisted the dagger and stabbed it into Hope's body. Hope's words, "Little sister, I treat you like my own son," made Fu Longsheng's heart tremble for a moment. But just then, Hope shot a glance at Simon on the other end of the surveillance. It turned out he had already made thorough preparations and had planted bombs throughout the building in advance. As long as Simon pressed the trigger, everything would end. Not wanting his brother's efforts to go to waste, Simon had no choice but to press the key with a heavy heart. In the next second, the entire building exploded instantly, and even the police who had just arrived downstairs were blown away by the blast. Meanwhile, the Vault team began their attack. They first cut the station's power and comms, preventing remote shutdowns. Then, they split into 2 groups. Mercenaries provided firepower and drew police attention. Amidst chaos, Simon's team disguised as SWAT infiltrated the Vault, hacking to steal the server. Before police noticed, they escaped with it. Meanwhile, orphanage officers remained unaware of the station heist. They rushed into the post-explosion ruins, but Hope had died, while Fu Longsheng survived. Seeing Yoko die, Fu Longsheng broke down. He never imagined that after caring for these children, but what he got in return was the situation he faced today. Yet after the grief, what replaced it was a cold, murderous intent. He blamed everything on Simon's betrayal, and secretly resolved to personally put an end to him. He knew that given the children's abilities, they must have already succeeded and would stick to the original plan to blend into the crowds at the subway station to escape. Therefore, if he wanted to find Simon before the police did, he needed to keep drawing the police's attention, buying time for Simon's group to reach the subway station safely. With that, he made a snap decision. After surrendering, Fu Longsheng was being escorted when he suddenly overpowered the armed guards, unlocked his shackles, and fled into the subway. He quickly located Simon and stabbed him repeatedly without hesitation. As he bled out, a guilty Simon stopped struggling, accepting his fate. Just before dying, he hugged the other man tightly and revealed the key to the $1.5 billion. It was a passphrase made up of 12 English words. But just as he was about to say the last word, Fu Longsheng grabbed his smartwatch.
Times may change, but following the rules is still the best way forward.
After speaking, Simon collapsed in blood. Simultaneously, his accomplices were also arrested, causing the plan to fail. The police hunted Fu Longsheng. Uncle Long quickly tracked and caught Fu Longsheng. They fought amidst the props. For Uncle Long, a prop fighting expert, the environment was advantageous. However, against Fu Longsheng fighting desperately, Uncle Long couldn't gain the upper hand. After a few moves, he was injured, allowing Fu Longsheng to flee. Fortunately, the tracking team arrived quickly to provide support. Thanks to Uncle Long's training, the team matched police dogs. They soon saw through Fu Longsheng's disguise and surrounded him. Fu Longsheng tried to resist, but he was at the end of his strength. With Fu Longxing's capture, this decades-long manhunt finally came to an end. However, what no one expected was that this arrest was actually part of Fu Longxing's own plan, because he had long realized that behind Simon's betrayal, there was an even more powerful mastermind pulling the strings. Back at the subway station, when he pressed down on Simon's hand, it was because he knew Simon wasn't just reciting the passways to him. He was also using the smartwatch on his wrist to transmit the information to the person behind the scenes. For this reason, Fu Longxing deliberately cut off the last word, so now only he knows the complete passphrase. But being old-fashioned, he doesn't understand any of this high-tech stuff at all. In his view, possessing the passphrase does not equate to controlling the money. On the contrary, it only turns him into a living target. So in order to survive, he chose to get himself arrested on purpose, seeking protection from the police, because now the jail at the police station is the safest place for him. At the end of the film, Fu Longxing is locked behind bars, and the case seems to have come to a close. But in reality, the battle between the old-school kingpin and the new breed of masterminds has only just begun. The movie ends here. That's all for this video. We'll see you next time with more classic films.